the cover out of the chipboard. No, 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 no. This is actually cardstock. I'm just using some solid cardstock to mix with my paper. I just kind of decided this at the last minute. I apologize. Just to not use up all my colored cardstock, because you know I have to do several tutorials for y'all. Oh, good, Sherry. I'm glad you can hear me. Yay, okay. I was getting a little nervous there. Okay, so I'm just using some solid cardstock to kind of, you know, mix in with this a little bit. Tracy, hi. You can always go back to part 1. It's okay. This is really still part of part 1, but the computer blinked out, so what can I do? Facebook kills me. Okay. So I'm going to show you both ways, okay? And I'm doing that because this book is for me, so it's okay. So I want to I'm going to take my little piece here, take it down just a little bit above my score line. I'm going to line it up and fold over. This is where it gets a little bit complicating, more so than the other ways. It's because I've got this weird piece at the end hanging out and bugging me, and it's like on my nerves, okay? So this is what's going to seal together your bottom piece here that's open, okay? So this is one way to do this, okay? And I'm going to show you the other way, which is kind of like the traditional way where you're not folding your paper, whoops, on the back. I'm sorry, let me try to do this right. I'll shut up for a second. Okay. Sorry, squirrel. If I get distracted, I'll mess it up. Okay, so now my little seam right here is hidden in there, okay? So that's one way you could do it, or you can do it the other way where it's not hidden. I personally like the hidden way, but everybody is different. It just depends on how you feel about putting it together. You know, if it seems too complicating and too messy to do it the other way, and you're not confident that it's going to be straight, then you might want to do it this way. Let me see who am I cracking up? Sherry, I know, you know, some people, you never know what they want to do. Okay, so then I would just use my glue right here. Now this is a little bit bulkier. It is. But, and I will say this too, that if you do it this way, not only is it bulkier, but when you're attaching your, it's messy. I'll tell you what. I didn't lay out my, so this is not dry, and that's driving me crazy. It's a little bit dry. I didn't lay out any of my stuff last night. So, okay. So this is the problem. These little edges here are going to be in the way, and sometimes when you're tucking in your cards or your pieces of paper or your mats, they're going to snag on that because it was not hidden behind the paper. But that is completely up to you. The other thing is that you're going to have this gap here. Do you see that? That's the other thing you're going to have if you don't hide it. So I'm just going to attach a little bit of glue. And you're going to have to do this very carefully so that you don't glue your matting page together. But it can be done. I made a whole other album this way with not hiding it. But I prefer this way. I prefer hiding it, honestly. That's just my personal opinion on that. Not sure which one I want to use this time. I think I'll use the balloon one because it has that red in there. You could, of course, add any extra pockets or flaps or anything you want to do. But like I said, that's going to take away from your quick album, okay? Any extra stuff you add on here takes time and more paper and magnets. So this is just kind of like the perfect way to do something really quick. Trying to see if I'm, yep. Sorry, I need to take off a little sliver here. I can see the little bump from my score line. That, like I said, drives me nuts. And I still see it again. Ah! I did not pay attention very well on this one. Here we go. The other ones I did really well, so I don't know. Okay. Oh, I'm the first person you've seen hide the tabs? Oh, I think Tamara hides them a lot too. I'm not really sure though. I can't remember off the top of my head, but I thought she did. Okay. So now this is super, super easy, guys. Easy, easy peasy. So that's one signature. All done. Did it crash again, Roberta? Was it your phone that crashed or your computer? You'll try it the other way, Marianne? Which one? Where you hide the pocket or hide the tabs or you keep the tabs? Like I said, I prefer hiding them, but sometimes, you know, you may not line this up straight behind here, and that could cause an issue. Thank you, Tracy. Okay, so guys, I am going to stop for now. I'm going to go ahead and finish my other little signatures. Each one of my signatures, my 6 signatures, are going to be exactly the same. And then I will be back. So y'all can take, for us, it's 11 o'clock here. I get up at 3 in the morning, so I kind of eat my lunch early. I know I'm such a nut. But it's late for me considering I'm up so early. But I will be back on here in an hour. So that will be noon, 12 o'clock Central Standard Time. That should be 1 o'clock Eastern, 11 o'clock Central, and 10 o'clock Pacific. So definitely, yes, Marianne, I love hiding the tabs. But just like I said, remember that when you're hiding the tabs, that you line them up, you line your paper up exactly evenly. That's the only difficult part. So I will be back, y'all, in just a little bit, okay? And we'll finish this up. I'm serious. We're going to get it done. Okay. Yes, I'm telling you, I bought a lot of glue. Okay, so now I have, and they're not all covered yet, but that's okay. This is pretty easy. I've got the main pieces that I want to do. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 now. Hi, Dawn. Now we're going to grab, let me see. I might have, I'm going to use a 12 by 12 piece of paper for this, but I don't normally do that. And this piece isn't wide enough. The only reason why, okay, when I'm doing my hinge system, I like to use a heavier cardstock, not heavy cardstock. But the reason why I don't do the thin is because it cracks. But I'm going to do my best, praying to God that this will not crack. Because, okay, so if my mini album, and this is kind of how I do my hinge, if my mini album is 6 inches, I'm going to go at 5 7/8. So I'm going to score, okay, and I'm going to cut it. No, I'm not going to use that cutter. That one's starting to get a little worn. You don't have to score, like I said. If you have the big cutter, you don't need to, but I like to. Okay. And then I'm going to keep the 12 inches. Hi, Debbie. And then I'm going to grab my little, uh-oh. Hold up. What on earth? Oh, there it is. Shoo! Okay, I thought I was losing my mind. Okay, apologize for that. Slight distraction. Squirrel. Okay, so I'm going to score at 1/2 inch, excuse me. Okay. And then I'm going to score at 1. So far, remember, we're at 5 7/8 by 12 inches. We're going to score at 1/2 inch, 1 inch, 1 1/2, 2, 2 1/2, 3, 3 1/2, 4. Okay. Now this is where I like to. This is why I like to use a piece of chalk. First of all, oh, awesome, Margaret. Hi from Germany. Well, hi from Texas. I'm from Texas. But anyway, Margaret's from Germany. That's cool. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to have a 1/2 inch space. Now, let me show you my little book here. I always like doing this. You don't have to do this, but this is how I do it. I always leave a 1/2 inch space because if I want to make a pretty thick inside cover or whatever, I want to make sure that I can embellish or do whatever I need to do. So I always give that 1/2 inch. And then I start my actual hinges, okay? So I'm going to do 1, then I'm going to leave a 1/2 inch, 2, 1/2 inch. And I'm just going to keep on going on. And I kind of do this too, because like I said, I'm doing this on the fly, guys. I didn't write down my measurements. So 3, 1/2 inch, 4, 1/2 inch, 5. And this is how I always keep up with it. You don't have to do it like this. It's just completely up to you. Okay. 1/2 inch. So anyway, all of these are 1/2 inch increment. Okay. So at 8 1/2, and then this is 6. And then I'm going to leave another 1/2 inch. And then I'm going to fold this over at the end, these two little halves, and you'll see in just a minute. So now I know I'm going to flip this over. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to write it down. I'm not actually going to rescore it though. 1. Okay. I'm only going to write it down twice. So I'm going to get my score tape out. I'm going to skip the first 2 lines. And then on my second score line, just on the inside, I'm going to go ahead and start taping it. And I'm sure you all are very familiar with this. Everybody has a different hinge system that they use. This is mine that I like to use. Now you're wondering, why am I only using 2 little pieces of tape? Because I'm going to use my glue on my little inside here. I'm going to fold right on that little 1 line, on that little number 1 that I wrote down. I'm going to fold this back, and then I'm going to continue on. I'm going to skip a 1/2 inch. You don't, I mean, you can either do it one at a time or you can tape it all down at one time. That's up to you. I just do one at a time to prevent myself from making mistakes. I've done it where I've accidentally taped on the part I didn't want to tape on and folded where I didn't want to fold. So this just secures me from that. You have 4 bigger 4 bigger bottles in this. Do they come bigger? Oh, you have the 8 ounce? Or they have bottles even bigger than 8 ounces. I didn't even know that. I bet you they probably do. I really need like a ton. And then, excuse me, sorry to make all the racket. Hold over. I'm sorry, I've got like a bunch of glue on my fingers and it's driving me nuts. Okay, so then I'm going to skip my 1/2 inch. Went a little crazy on that one. I know this part kind of boring, guys. I apologize. Y'all should entertain each other on here while I'm being boring. That's why I hate doing tutorials live sometimes, is because you always have that awkward silence. Tamara's so good at creating conversation, and me, I have to concentrate or I will mess up. Sorry, I'm just scrolling down to see if I missed anything. Yes, they have a 16 ounce. Oh my gosh. I need to get that. So you taped 3 and 4. 1, 2. Yes. I apologize, Marianne, that I didn't see that question until just now. That's why I love using the chalk. It rubs off very easily, and it just helps me remember. So I just don't make mistakes. Okay, again, skip and move on. I think we are on our last one. Yay! Okay. Hold on, guys. I got a hot mess going on. Okay, sorry about that. Okay. And, you know, you could just use tape, but it is cheaper to use glue and tape rather than just all tape, because you use a lot of it making a mini album. Okay, so now I have my 1/2 inch that I'm going to score here. Not score. I'm going to fold it on my score line. I can't talk. I do need an extra little piece here. I just calculated that. This is a bigger binding than what I normally do. I usually just do 5. So I need to at least add a little 2-inch piece. Give me 1 second. No, that won't work. 5 7/8. Okay, all I'm doing is adding this little piece on here so that, and you don't have to do this part, but I am. Hold on. Cut down just a little bit. Okay, I'm going to take a piece of score tape. I'm going to put it on that one at the very beginning. My first 1/2 inch. I'm going to put my glue down and attach this little piece here. And this is 2 by 5 7/8. I'm just going to line it up right here. Okay, now it should look something like this. Now, you could use tape all along this entire thing. I'm sorry if I'm missing anything. I'm going to call about the glue and see what they say. Okay, Tamara, that would be awesome because I want more. Okay, anyway, all I'm going to do now is you could tape all of this and then tape this back behind here, okay? And then you have your hinge. But I'm just going to use a little bit of tape and the rest glue. But it's completely up to you how you want to do it. Okay. Oops. If your tape starts to lift up while you're pulling it off, go ahead and burnish it back in because you want it to be secure on there. And then I go ahead and do plenty of glue so that there is no lifting. And then you're going to press down on one side. Go ahead and burnish it in. Wipe off any excess glue that's coming out because I can see it. And then go ahead and lay down that piece too. Do the same thing. Now I have my hinge. Easy peasy. And we add a little more glue here. Okay, so this is what I like to do to get my hinges ready for the pages. I always take them and prepare them going back and forth. Okay, I just take my bone folder and rub it Sorry, I see a little piece of tape hanging out that I missed. Okay, and then I always go back the opposite way and do the same thing. And this just kind of loosens them up, gets them ready to go. It's better to do it now than later, okay? Okay, so now we're going to do our cover. And I'm going to give you the measurements in about 2 seconds. Oops, I thought I had my chipboard. Give me a second, ladies. Okay. Let me see if I'm missing any questions. Yeah, definitely, John. I just like using both. You know, as I've said, I think where you're from, it's more dry. But here in North Texas, it rains a lot and it's just humid and muggy and nasty. So, anyway, thank you, Barbara. Appreciate it. Okay, so this is the easy part. And this is how I learned this in bookbinding, okay? This is what I do. You don't have to do the same thing. And mine's a little bit more complicated because I don't have heavy chipboard, okay? My friend Kat gave me a bunch of 12 by 12 really thin chipboard and I love it. So I basically have to make 4 of the exact same size. But you wouldn't have to do that if you have regular chipboard, okay? So what I do is we're going to have it 6.5 by 6.5 for your front and your back, okay? And this is just some of the tricks that I've learned making mini albums to make sure that my stuff is really straight when I'm cutting. So I go ahead and I take my quilt ruler and I start marking at 6.5. And I always follow along the line because you can see this line here. I can see my dots that I've made in this line. And I just keep going until I get to about 6.5 on my scoreboard, which is right about there. I'm going to turn it and do the same thing. I'm going to start at 6.5. And I follow along with the 6.5 on my ruler. I do not follow along with a 6.5 on here. Okay, so this is how I have my perfect line, okay? Now I'm going to get out my cutting board. And cut. Another good thing too about this cutting board, it is exactly 6.5 inches. I could have actually just saved myself the time of having to do that, but just in case, I know that my measurements on my ruler are right. So I'm going to go ahead, for me, I'm going to cut 4 of these. For you, if you have thick chipboard, you would only cut 2. So I hope y'all don't mind while I get that done. Yes, Sonia, this thing is amazing. I love this chipboard. I mean, it cuts. This cutter cuts amazing. Cuts chipboard, it cuts paper. Really nice and smooth. I like that. When I use my Fiskars one, for some odd reason, it bends the page underneath a little bit where it's cut. And that's just crazy. I don't know why it does that, but it does. And so then I have to take my bone folder and, you know, get that little cut line out of there because I don't want to have a mark on my paper when I'm attaching it. You'll see it. You'll see that bump, and it may make you crazy. Some people don't care. I care. Okay, so far I've got 3. I just need 1 more. Okay, so now I'm going to check my measurement again real quick on this base right here, and it is 3 7/8. So then I'm going to take my leftover chipboard here. I'm going to cut it at 3 7/8 by 6 1/2. Okay, now just to make sure that my measurements are right, I'm going to line this up on here. Okay, when I'm making my album covers, again, I leave myself a little bit of, and this does not seem right. Hold on. No, it's right. Okay, no. Yep, I'm right. I usually leave about a 1/8 of an inch in between here and center this, okay? So that's kind of how I do it. Just to make sure that I have, again, enough space. And also you can lay your papers down pretty nicely. Again, I'm going to do the same thing with my tape and my glue. Because normally you wouldn't have to do this step. I only have to do it because, and I would normally do this off camera, but since you're here live with me, I have to do it in front of you. Glue my 2 chipboards together to make it heavier. Okay. I know these are always the mundane parts that y'all don't get to see in my tutorial. Excuse me, guys. Sorry. Okay. So now I have that part, and I'll just keep on doing the same thing. Y'all are so quiet. I don't see any conversation. It makes me nervous when y'all are quiet. You notice your hinge system does not have the phalanges or wings that attach to cover. Huh. No, it doesn't. You'll see it works pretty good. There, you could do that. But I found that this system works pretty good, and I haven't really had too many issues with having it fall apart or anything, you know, break. So yes, yes, Sonia. The spine and covers are extremely important. If you don't have that together, then it's just gonna fall apart on people. And I love the little trick. Well, we'll show you in a minute. That actually comes from Patty Center, but Tamra shared it with us that I love using. But we'll get to that part in just a minute. It's coming up. Okay. Oops. All right, one more, guys. Wondering if that makes the book lay flatter? Yes, it does. There's a couple other tricks I'm going to show you too. I noticed that a lot of people, when they're attaching their pages to their hinges, they put it all the way down to the bottom, and that prevents the page from laying flat. And then there are some that don't. I mean, it just depends. I really don't know Kathy Orta's hinge system at all. And I've never used paper phenomenons. Sometimes I feel like I make my pages really heavy, and I embellish them a lot. So there's a lot of weight on my pages, and if I have just one piece of paper holding that hinge, it's going to fall off or rip or something. Uh-oh. Sorry, I noticed that this is getting clogged. Guess I'm gonna have to work faster, guys. Ah! This always happens to me where it'll come out and just drip out, or it doesn't come out at all. That's always my entertainment for the day. Okay, sorry. I know that took forever. Oh my gosh, crazy. Okay, so this is how I'm gonna do this, okay? I'm gonna use two 12 by 12 pieces of paper to cover this up. And what I usually do is I leave myself an inch on one end and an inch on the other. So if this is 7.5, we're gonna have to cut it to 8.5. So 12 inches by 8.5. And then I will marry the two pages together, and I'll show you that in just a second. Another trick that I like to do is I'm actually going to cut these two pieces of paper at the same time. And the reason why I like doing that is because I want them to be identical so that there are no issues at all where they don't line up. I don't like to have to do things twice, so I just like to do it once. And that's what we're going to do. Oh, hold on. Duh, I need to do my score line. Okay, so I'm going to take my paper and score it at 8.5. Now, this is one thing I do also. You don't have to do this. Again, this is just something that I like to do. So I'm going to lightly